let's have a little chat about hops. G'day guys, Beer Healer here and welcome back to the Beer Healer Shed for another video with my Brewie. Now since I've been brewing with Brewie, I've learned so much more about brewing than I ever thought I could. I thought this was going to be all about automation, but I've just learned so much more about the science and the art of brewing, and thanks to everybody in the community out there for helping me learn along the way. So tonight I'm going to give a bit back and we're going to talk about hops. So, what are hops? Well, they're one of the main ingredients we use in brewing, the others being yeast, malt and water, which you can hear falling on the shed roof tonight in here, so hopefully you can still hear me. But anyway, the hops that we use in brewing are a hop flower that comes from the hop plant, which is called a bine. Now, the hop plant is actually part of the hemp family, and they start life on these bines, and then they're cut down in the harvest, and all the hop cones are then processed to use in brewing. I've visited Hop Products Australia during harvest time and the whole process is absolutely amazing. The best thing about it is the smell. You just cannot beat that fresh hop smell. Once harvested, the hops are then taken in and they're processed and they're used to used by brewers in one of two ways. They'll either take the whole hop cones and they can use them fresh as a wet hop, or they can be dried and used later on, or they can be used like these little babies here in my hand, pellets. Depending on who you talk to, some may prefer one over the other. But as a home brewer, I've used both, and I kind of think that the pellets are a little bit easier to handle. Alrighty, so why do we use hops? Well, we use hops for a few reasons in brewing. The first one being bittering. Now look, hops contain an essential oil with a very bitter flavour in them, and essentially we extract this oil during the brewing process to impart that bitterness into the beer. Now the bitterness counters the sweetness from the malt to create a more balanced beer, and it also acts as a preservative. The more alpha acids in a hop, the more bitterness that is added to the beer. The conversion of these alpha acids to bitterness in the beer takes some time, so bittering hops have to pretty much be in there from the start of the boil, allowing that extraction of the bitterness to occur. Now Brewie, in its hop baskets, uses the back one to impart the bitterness into the beer, so that hop compartment is used for the entire process of the boil, as that's the first addition of the hops. So next up we add flavour, and by adding hops midway through the boil, we'll impart more flavour into the beer than bitterness. There is a little bit of bitterness that still comes through, but it's really about adding that flavour. So these hops are added about 30 minutes before the end of the boil. Again, inside the hop container, inside Brewie, and then it runs the water through at the right time to add that flavour through. So each hop variety has its very own signature flavour and aroma, so brewers pick what they think will complement their malt profile. The hops that you use for flavour may not be the same variety that you use for bittering. Hops are typically going to be used for one or the other task, really, but there are some that are good for both. Next up, it's aroma. You know when you pick up your favourite pale ale and you can smell the aromas of tropical fruit or citrus peel? That comes from the hop. It's achieved very late in the boil. Sometimes it's called for at flame out, which is the absolute end when you cut the flame off or the heat, and then that imparts more of the aroma into the beer and not a lot of flavour and no bitterness as well. But really the best way to ensure aroma in a beer is to dry hop. So once the beer's been transferred into the fermenter and then the fermenter's main course of action has ceased, it's about probably day 2 or 3 is pretty good. Look, if you do go too early, the carbon dioxide created in fermentation will whisk away your aroma on you. But if you wait till about day 3, you get your nice big fat sack of hops into a hop sock, and then you chuck that in about day 3, leave it for about 5 days, and that imparts an absolutely beautiful aroma into the beer. So how does Brewie handle the addition of hops in the process? Well, this is the great thing about Brewie. You can calculate all of your hop additions and then add them to your recipe in the machine, and then Brewie pretty much does the rest. Can you see here how next to each one of the hop additions has got 0 grams listed? Well, for now that's a manual override. In the next version of the Brewie software, they're going to update that so that you can correctly input all the right amounts of hops into each of the baskets, and away you go. You can see me adding hops to the baskets here for each stage of the hopping process. The contents of the baskets are added to the boil, starting with the one at the back of the machine, and then they move forward. As each hops basket's turn to be added to the boil, Brewie circulates the boiling water through the chamber and mixes all that hoppy goodness into the brew. You know, Brewie doesn't handle the dry hopping stage because that's kind of after all the beer's been boiled and finished and left the system. But if the brew pad does call for dry hopping, then those hops are all nicely packaged up in the kit for use in the fermenter. When I add mine, one of the things I use is, as I said before, is a hop sock, so I minimise the amount of hop matter that's floating around in my beer. So that's what I got for you tonight. Hopefully you've enjoyed my video about brewing and the hopping process. If you've got any questions, fire them away to me. But until we talk again in the Beer Healer Shed, cheers to great beers.